All right, guys, so we're like this close to crowning an NBA champion. So once again, I'm partnering up with the DraftKings Sportsbook to give all new customers a brand new offer. We all like to bet. So how about this? At DraftKings, we're going to give you a no sweat bet, meaning bet up to $1,500. And if that first bet in that original amount doesn't hit, DraftKings will match it. DraftKings got you covered. All you got to do, go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Sign up using my promo code DCTV to qualify for a no sweat bet. Minimum deposit, $5. So right now, sign up using my promo code DCTV to qualify for a no sweat bet. Up to $1,500, and DraftKings will match that original bet. Promo code DCTV to qualify for your no sweat bet. At DraftKings, the crown is yours. Another episode of Funky and the Champ. I'm fat. Jamal's like skinny fat. You're skinny fat.
Take it back.
Today I chose violence.
I'm suing. Sue them. I had the mute on for the fight. Sorry, Daniel. I did mute you.
You guys are going to be lifetime enemies because of the shit you say the moment you get a microphone in your face. Bro, you're crazy. What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Funky and the Champ. I'm Daniel Cormier. That is my man, Funky Ben Askren. Ben, dude, when you sat down, the size of your shoulders, I mean, you look fantastic. I see you at the tournaments. Buddy. I saw you sitting on the wrestling mat the other day. I was like, Ben looks better than he did whenever we were in the Olympic Games.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know about all that.
I'm serious, you do. I'm telling you, as a guy that saw you.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to stay lean, but I stopped eating dessert 18 months ago. That was really helpful. It really was. I love dessert. I really thought I was going to miss it, and I don't really miss it at all.
What do you mean? Like, what were you eating for your desserts?
Every day, ice cream, whatever. I would eat dessert every day, Daniel. Something.
You don't need them anymore.
No, I just stopped. One day I just stopped.
Isn't that weird? Like how strong your mind is whenever you think you like really enjoy something and you just go, I don't want to do it anymore, and you can kind of stop it.
I kind of got that obsessive personality type. Well, and I'll tell you, for me, so the first time I retired, I meant it. I really did mean it. And then the second time I retired, I had my hip surgery, so I literally had no choice. Like I couldn't do anything. But it was like, dude, I've been making weight for, so 2017, I've probably been making weight seriously for like 20 years. Like 20 years of making weight on an almost, year-round basis. I'm not going to look at a scale. I didn't look at a scale for 10 months. I didn't look at it. I didn't care. So finally, and this was before I got traded to UFC, but I'm like, okay, I got to do something so I'm not super fat the rest of my life. So I got on a scale and I was like 210, and I'm like, I'm going to wrestle at Midlands. So I had to make weight, right? This is the only way us as wrestlers know how. So I got to make weight. And then the second time I retired, I did the same thing. I just ate whatever I wanted because I didn't want to worry about it. And then at some point it was like, okay, all right, now I'm really, really, really done. Like there's no way I'm doing anything else. So then it's like, well, I got to make a choice here. Either I'm going to be able to like keep wrestling with my athletes or I'm not, So I decided to get serious about it.
Well, it's working, my guy. Thanks, you look fantastic.
Yeah, I saw Islam hustling you online, actually. So maybe you could do the same thing. You could quit dessert too.
No.
Yeah, do it now.
I've literally done way too much. Like I started actually really cutting weight. Okay. I made the world team in cadets. And then after that, it was always like making world teams. And it's like, then you were cutting like super big weight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't really want to do that anymore. I'm good. I'll maybe just eat a little better and go work out, but nah, I ain't doing it. I'm not going to be uncomfortable anymore. Like, fuck that. That's just over. Those days are over. Islam, speaking of Islam, isn't it kind of crazy that John Anik and I did like a post-fight reaction for ESPN, and we led with Dustin Poirier. Yep. It seems like a lot of the stories coming out of last weekend are led with Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a little bit do you think it's a little unfair to Islam that his performance is kind of lost because so much is being made of how well Dustin Poirier did, when the only reason it's such a big deal of how well Dustin Poirier did is because Islam is expected to dominate in such a fashion? Is it unfair to Islam?
Yeah, but you know what? The other thing I would say there is people love Dustin Poirier. He is just a
Yeah, he
very
is.
lovable guy. And Islam, for whatever reason, I think this is one of the things where like star power is interesting. He hasn't really caught on, not the way Khabib did, right? And they're kind of similar in the way they speak and their mannerisms. But he hasn't caught on this
But to this,
quite the same way.
but to this, to that point, right?
Yeah,
Like, I know when Islam and I are talking, because metrics, right? Metrics
yeah,
always tell you. And my
sure.
metrics internally, like my YouTube metrics, tell me that one of the most interactive people I
Hmm.
have is Islam Makhachev. I mean, the
Interesting.
interview we did the other day is at 400,000
What about Dustin's? Is his
people,
bigger?
265,000, right?
Wow,
Which
that's
is still a
maybe
massive number.
they probably love Russia loves YouTube, right? They all subscribe to the
Probably,
Cormier channel.
probably. But Dustin
Yeah.
did really well too, right? It's star power. But
Yeah.
it's 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 just something. But
Yeah, it's
it's
interesting.
only because he's expected to be so dominant.
Yeah.
And was he not dominant on Saturday night to you?
Yeah, I thought he was, but I thought Dustin did a really good job in the fight. I think he stuffed a lot of takedowns. I thought he fought really hard. Probably more takedowns than he had in previous fights against good wrestlers that I can think of. So I thought he did a really good job there. I would not say Islam was dominant. I would say Dustin fought hard. You know, there were the few scorecards where I saw it was 2 rounds to 2 rounds. Going
Did
into
you
the
agree with
fifth.
that?
No, but I see where they're coming from. I think probably 3-1 was probably more fair
Mhm.
going into the fifth round. I understand 2-2. I would also understand if someone could argue 4-0, right? I
Mhm.
mean, that's the thing in fighting is some rounds are really close and then go either way. So I thought Dustin did a great job. And I actually put this tweet out today. I thought like, man, Dustin has been a guy who's been near the title forever. I was thinking,
Times.
here's how long I was thinking back. I was at Eric Koch's corner and he had Dustin Koch triangle, Dustin Poirier triangled so tight in 2013. And Poirier is tough and he
He is.
freaking got out of it. And I was so pissed. And then he beat Eric. And I want to say, Eric had almost fought for a title. He actually had signed to fight for a title against Jose Aldo before that. And then Aldo got hurt in a motorcycle accident. So Eric never got the title fight. But Dustin Poirier has been damn near the top of his division for a
10 years,
decade
11
plus.
years.
It's
That's
crazy.
crazy. And
Yes.
that is what I believe is a little bit lost on the respect that Dustin Poirier gets, is how
Yeah.
long he's hung around the top. He fought for the UFC championship against unbelievable people, honestly, right?
Yes.
Like he
Mhm.
lost to Khabib, Charles Oliveira, and Islam Makhachev.
Yes.
If he wasn't in this era of fighter, he probably would be the champ. But hell, he fought Conor McGregor in 2013,
14. 14.
14. Yeah,
Yes.
14 is when him and Conor fought for the first time. So he's been fighting at the top of the sport for a really long time. Look, what stood out to me most on Saturday night was Dustin's ability to defend takedowns.
Mm-hmm.
What stood out to me most was I felt after watching it, and for the first time, like, I generally don't like to put much into, well, he fought this guy who fights very similar to this guy, so it's going to
Mm-hmm.
benefit him.
Yeah.
But after watching that Saturday, I felt Dustin was better because he fought Khabib. Now, Ben,
That's fair. Yeah.
you and I both know that there are certain times where you expect a person to feel a certain way, and you do everything you possibly can to replicate that. So I brought
Yep.
in tall guys because I was fighting John Jones. Brought in
Yep.
guys that hit hard because I was fighting Rumble Johnson. But the moment I was in there with the actual person, it was much different. Look,
Yep.
we practiced Cael Sanderson's moves constantly when I was at Oklahoma State. But then it was way different trying to stop him from actually doing the move.
Yeah.
So you don't know the grappling strength of a Khabib Nurmagomedov until you feel it. Then you get Islam the second time, and you're like, okay, I've felt it before. It doesn't feel as dangerous or as hard to deal with this second time around. And I felt like Dustin Poirier was better for it. I also think what Dustin learned from that fight, and I think young wrestlers don't
jump the guillotine.
He did not jump the ghillie one time. He didn't jump the ghillie. I
was shocked.
Islam jumped the ghillie. Islam jumped the ghillie that turned into the darts. But
okay, sorry, go ahead. I cut you off there making a point.
Oh,
I was gonna say, well, Bo Nickel was on a podcast last week, and I agree with the sentiment. He said, while Islam's wrestling is very good, he thought Khabib's wrestling was elite. And I agree with that sentiment. I think Islam is very good at wrestling. But he's really good at other things also, right? He's a good very good striker. And I thought Khabib had like uber elite both takedowns and control. And just maybe a few notches above what Islam is in that category.
Could I tell you what I think the difference is, though? And I don't know if this was Dustin Poirier doing this on purpose, or I know what I did, and I know what Khabib did, and I know what Cain Velasquez did that made us take people down the. We always wrestled around the shorts. You got to have something to grip.
Yeah.
You got to have something that gives you friction. Islam seemed to be shooting at Dustin at his legs, so then they just kind of limp knee, and then you lose.
I hate going at the legs.
Didn't it seem like Islam wrestled beneath the shorts way too much? For me, it seemed like he wrestled beneath the shorts way too much, and that played into Dustin kind of creating space with his arms, and then he would just limp knee down and take his leg away.
Yeah,
I think that was one gain in the game plan, knowing Khabib always wrestled him at his shorts, and so he never was able to get away from him.
Yeah, like in MMA, for example. In wrestling, I did a lot of single legs, and I think single legs best takedown. But in MMA, if I ever got a single, I would almost immediately go up to the body, right? Like seatbelt, body lock type thing. Because to your point, the single legs are relatively easy to defend. Plus, the other thing is generally you have to have two hands on their leg, and that means they have two hands free to hit you or elbow you with, which is not good, right? So if I ever got on a single leg and I didn't finish immediately, I would almost always come right up to the body. So yeah, Dustin Poirier did a good job of keeping him on the leg, and then obviously defending with the limp knee out of the leg. So yeah, he did a really good job there.
You know, that's one of the things for me. Like when I would always do that high crotch thing, it's always at the shorts. I would run the pipe at the shorts. Single leg at the shorts. When I would grab their leg, it was always like at the shorts. Now I'm not grabbing the shorts, but my arms.
But they're not sweaty.
Yes, they're not as sweaty, not as slippery as trying to grab a dude by his feet. Dustin did a good job of making sure Islam wrestled him beneath the knee, and Dustin was limp kneeing. But to give Islam credit, his striking looked fantastic, and I believe that he would have even been better in the striking had he not been hesitant. I spoke to him after the fight, and he told me, he goes, I could have fought better if I had more belief in my striking. He said he didn't feel as confident as he wanted to be out there on the feet.
Well, the other thing is with someone like Dustin Poirier who can hit hard and put you down, you don't necessarily want to be reckless, right? No. If you take maybe a little too many chances, that's when you can put. I mean, think about like his last guy, the French guy you yelled at me for saying his name wrong.
Benoit Saint-Denis.
Yeah, him. Like he got a little reckless, and Dustin put him on his ass. I mean, right? So against a good striker, I think you do want to have a certain amount of caution, so that doesn't happen.
Yeah, for sure. And you can't be reckless in Dustin Poirier. But ultimately, Islam Makhachev becomes retains his UFC championship. That is now 3 title defenses. And he's starting to really move his way into greatest of all time lightweight conversation with that victory. Dude, his win streak to start a UFC career is only 3rd to Kamaru Usman and Anderson Silva.
Wait, no, he lost right away.
No,
right? That was first loss right away.
UFC win streak, just his win streak.
Period.
Right? Since he won his first fight, lost his second fight, and then he's won 14 in a row now, including 4 wins in championship fights. Yeah. Ben, Dustin Poirier said in the octagon that it might be about time for him to be done. Do you agree with that, or do you?
Yeah, I love it. I love a man who knows himself.
Really?
Yeah, and I tell you, no athletes should. I told you, I read books. Athletes should not fight too long. You always go downhill. Time is undefeated. Dustin Poirier, we just talked about how long he's been fighting at the top of the division, a decade plus, right? He has beaten some of the biggest names. And so ideally every fighter has something they want to do afterwards, right? You're
Yes.
coaching, I'm coaching. We find something we actually enjoy. Um, to me, the sad case actually like Nick Diaz. He's fighting again. They booked him against
Bro, yeah, dude.
Vincente Luque, and people are like, Vincente Luque is not good. I'm like, no, he's really good. Like, Diaz hasn't won a fight in a decade, and you're trying to tell me Vincente Luque is not good. That's not the case. Vincente Luque is really good. And it's like, why is he fighting? Like, I want to say Diaz is probably in his 40s by now, because I think he's a little older than me. And then Ferguson's fighting again. They give him someone tough also. And it's like, you guys got to know when enough is enough. Like, yes, you're great fighters, but time's undefeated. Move
Yeah.
on, do something else, have something else that you want to do in life. And so I actually find it very sad when fighters hang on too long. And I think it's great when Dustin's like, hey man, I'm on the top of my game. Maybe I'm not number one in the world, but I'm number 2 or 3 or somewhere very close. And I made my runs. I had 3 title shots, and I'm gonna go do something else in my life. I
Isn't
love
it?
it.
But isn't it great to see a guy doing that? But it's also sad
Yes.
because then you don't get to see Dustin Poirier fight anymore.
It's a little bit sad, but I mean, for me, it's more like I love it when an athlete does that because they know themselves and they realize that
But
there's more
doesn't
to
that?
life
But
than
then you know damn well in those instances, most times when they leave, when there's a lot of time left to be had, they
yeah.
come back, and that sucks.
Well, not all of them have. A
Only
few that
Khabib. Khabib is
Khabib is
one that I
not.
can't think
GSP
about.
only came back one time, so I'm gonna
But he
say he
came back. GSP
once.
came back.
Once it wasn't like he came back and fought. He saw an opportunity to get the damn middleweight
Don't do that
belt.
to Bisping, bro. Don't do it to
But he
Bisping.
did. That was why GSP came back. He came back once. That's it, right? So he mostly did it really well. So we've had a handful of guys that have been able to do that, and I would love it if he did. And there's other guys who maybe they haven't left at the top, but they left like before it was
Close
too
to it.
late. There's some guys that just, unfortunately, like guys I like. I love BJ Penn, right? But he just kept fighting when he was losing, and it's like,
Anderson
dude.
Silva at a point.
Keeps fighting. I mean, like, a guy like Kane, I feel like he kind of retired on time. Yeah, he lost it and got him in 2019, and then he said, I'm done. And like he was still close to the top. He wasn't quite there. And he said, I'm gonna do something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dustin Poirier for me, like I said, selfishly, I don't want him to go.
Yeah.
He's made a ton of money.
Hmm.
He's very happy in his life,
Yeah.
and he thinks that it might be time to go. But one thing he didn't do, though, Ben, he was not definitive. He didn't go, I'm for sure done with fighting. He said, I may be done. He goes, there's a possibility I come back. And
Yeah.
my
That tells me
part,
he's coming back for sure.
for my part, thought that was a bit of a negotiating thing going, hey, bring me big fights. If you're going to
Yeah.
want me to fight, they have to be big fights. They have to be, if I'm not fighting for a championship, I need to be fighting for something that matters. Like, I don't know what that is exactly,
Hmm.
but something has to be big enough to make Dustin Poirier go, I want to do that. Alexander Volkanovski said he's down to fight him.
Yeah.
Hell, him and
Well,
Colby Covington,
everyone seems that Colby wants to fight him.
Colby
So,
have had bad blood forever. I
yeah,
would love
someone
to see
else.
those two
He
go at.
shouldn't fight Colby.
Why?
He's just a really good wrestler and he's a little bit bigger. And I guess I would hope that Dustin could win, but I don't know that that's a guarantee.
You think Colby would beat him?
If you made me bet on it, I'd probably lean that way, yes.
Really? Even after the way
Unfortunately.
he looked against Leon Edwards.
Oh yeah, that wasn't a good fight. Yeah, I'd probably still lean that way, unfortunately.
You're all
Yeah.
over the place.
But no, so I hope Dustin rides off into the sunset. He had a great career. He's been at the top of the game for a decade plus. I hope he finds something else he wants to do in life and goes and enjoys his life. Because there is more to life than fighting. Fight fans don't want to hear that. They want to be like the Nick Diaz. All I want to do is fight till I'm effing brain dead. But that ain't real. We're fighters. We are people. We are human beings, not just personalities, Daniel. And we got to live the rest of our life. Okay? So
Yeah.
go fighters. Go find something else you want to do in your life that you enjoy and move on.
Ben, to Nick Diaz, like, isn't it odd that he's fighting Vicente and Chiesa's fighting Tony
Yeah,
Why would
why
they
don't
just
they
fight
play
each other?
Yeah, why not? It's much better.
Why would they just fight each other? Like
I don't know.
it's an
Yeah, I mean, I
awkward.
think, I mean, to me, honestly, it feels like that the UFC is saying, well, you guys are getting paid well, so we can't possibly give you a no name, and that they just keep trying to have them keep losing because it's like, and that's one of the hard things about when you get really good at fighting, you don't really get to go down too far. Like they just don't let you. Like they don't let, so there's what 90, there's 90 lightweights in the UFC. They don't let you go down to number 62, right? They're like, okay, Michael Chiesa. And it's like, well, Michael Chiesa's really good. I mean, he was
He's like in the top 25 fighters in the world.
yeah, he was a top 10 for a while. He's lost a few fights, but he's lost to really good people. Like he's really good. And so it's like, we need to move Ferguson way further down. Freaking Patty Pimblett took him down. You don't think Chiesa's going to take him down and punch him in the face for 15
my
minutes?
goodness.
This is ridiculous. Like, for God's sakes, Dana, what are you
It has
doing?
to just be some sort of timing, right? Like they had probably already told Nick what he was doing, and then Tony gets put on the card, and they're like, well, we don't want to blow up these two fights
Yes.
to make one fight. Because to me, it
Yes.
just doesn't, it just seems like it's just it's a handout. It's like it really is a softball. Like you just pop it up in the air. It's like, hit it. You got these two dudes that should be fighting each other.
Yes.
There was a few months ago, like Nick Diaz had a video and he looked bad, man. He was at this like fight shop in Las Vegas. I'm so happy that he doesn't live in Vegas anymore. That's not a great place for an aging fighter because you can still kind of like get by on your name when you shouldn't really be getting by on your name.
Yeah.
And that's just not a great place for an aging fighter.
Nick Diaz is 40 going on 41. FYI.
Yeah. And do you remember like the last time he went, he looked really good in the pictures, like a pro athlete, like he was running. And then when he got in the fight, he just didn't look like the same guy. Yeah. And then he was doing the antics.
Good than fight good. Way easier.
Was that
way easier to look good than fight good?
But he didn't fight good or look good against Robbie Lawler.
He fought good for like 3 minutes.
But then he's doing his antics, right? But then the antics aren't as cool whenever you're not fighting at the level. I hope that when he's in there, he all great champions have one last night. Hopefully he has one more good night out there. But Vicente Luque is a vicious, powerful striker that looks to take your head off. And to me, that's very scary. I'm going there. I'm going to be there to call that fight in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, it's Saudi? Is it in Saudi?
Yeah, it's in Abu Dhabi.
It's Abu Dhabi. Did someone tell Diaz that they don't allow weed there?
I don't know what they
for real, because weed is usually non-negotiable for Nick Diaz, and weed for Abu Dhabi is also non-negotiable. So
you ain't bringing that over there. You bring that over there, you might have a real problem.
Yes, not good.
Hey, after Dustin Poirier defended Islam Makhachev as well as he did, does that concern you for him going up to 170 with Bilal's takedown defense and Leon?
I want to see him versus Armin. Let's do that.
Huh?
Let's do Armin.
That's what I think. I think him and Armin next, but like,
and then
that's kind of worrisome, right? That he couldn't take down a 55-pounder as effectively as he did to the others.
Yeah, I mean, I think Leon's gonna be tougher than take down. Leon or Bilal are both tougher to take down than Dustin is. Just if you just look at their fight records, historical, they're both tougher to take down for sure.
Yeah. Unbelievable. We didn't even talk about the press conference being canceled.
I had some opinions. I got 6 more minutes.
All right,
try to kick me off already.
I'll let you wax poetic on Conor's press conference being canceled. Go ahead, man.
That ain't a good lesson. And I think 2 weeks ago when we were on the show, you said Mike was sending out essentially victory drinks to everybody. And I said, hold on, I don't like this. You don't dance in the end zone until you get the ball there. And I remember this football player. I don't watch a lot of football, but I remember this highlight. This guy is high stepping on the way in, and the guy behind him hustles him, punches that ball out.
It was Leon Lett, Dallas Cowboys. Oh, that was one of the most bonehead plays of all time.
That's what happened. You don't dance till you're in the end zone.
Wait, the fight's still on, though. The fight's still on.
I understand, but you're not in the end zone until you're walking to the octagon. That's when you're in the end zone. Then you're like, okay, we had at that point it's 6 weeks. Now we got like I think it's 4 weeks maybe. Yeah, I'm not 100% it's happening.
Are you concerned that the fight won't happen?
I would say you are lying if you don't have at least a little bit of concern.
I've got a little bit of I've got a little bit of hesitancy, if I'm being honest. It's not good. But Conor did say, in consultation with the UFC, today's press conference was canceled due to a series of obstacles outside of our control. I apologize to my Irish fans and fans around the world for the inconvenience and appreciate all your passion and support. I cannot wait to put on the greatest all-time show in the octagon.
That was a what do they call it? A PR person. That was a PR person. That
Conor wrote that, no?
You
don't think so?
No. Come on, man. So I mean, there's people on Twitter talking about Conor and maybe trying to get more money in the UFC or contract difficulties. I could first see that happening. You know, one thing though I wanted to ask you about in relation to this was there was one time in my career where I didn't fight for it. Wasn't by my choosing. It was you won championships was going slow, and I think it was a year and 2 months, right? And when I got back in the cage, it felt just a little different. It felt like I haven't done this lately. And then there was 2 times, Bellator in the tournament. I fought 3 times in 3 months, and then my last year in 1, and then in UFC, I fought 3 times in 5 months in both cases, I believe 5 or 6. It was like I fought very rapidly. And it's like when you're fighting very rapidly, there's just such a level of comfort. It's like, I just did this.
Goodness.
Let's do this again. Right?
It's the best. It's the best. 2015, when I fought 3 times and I won the belt and defended the belt.
Yes.
I was great. I had no nerves. I took 9 months off and then fought Anderson Silva in July, and I was scared. I was literally I was in the damn back feeling nervousness like I hadn't felt in years. It was crazy.
It just feels like a little different. It's like, wait, I'm gonna go do unarmed combat with this man in the octagon. Like, that's kind of weird. Is this really what I do for a living? This is kind of a strange living, you know?
I'm telling you, bro. It's the weirdest thing. You think maybe that's a little bit of part of Conor going, I don't know.
It's like, you know, he's showed videos of him out partying the last 2 weekends, both of them, right? He hasn't fought now. It's going to be very close to 3 years. That's a long time. And, you know, there's the other feeling. It's like, I know this happened to me once, and it was earlier, and I had a little injury that made me take some time off, and I ended up winning the fight, so it's no big deal. But I wasn't where I wanted to be in the training camp. Like in the training camp, you kind of know what it feels like. At least for me, I always kind of started slow, working on new things. And then, you know, maybe like 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 4 weeks, everything just started clicking, right? It starts clicking. You feel good. And you're like, I'm on the money. I'm ready to rumble. And there was one time where it didn't, and it like makes you nervous. You're like, damn, like, oh, am I going to suck? Like, you know, I took a couple weeks off because of an injury and things weren't clicking right. And it made me a little nervous. Dude. So it's like, could it be that also?
There's a lot of reasons why. But on the flip side of that, I was terrified, and I had all kinds of stuff going on personally, injuries when I fought Dan Henderson, and I fought the best fight of my life. Like you just never know what happens when that octagon door closes. I think we'll get some clarity on the Conor McGregor situation in the upcoming days. And if the news is big enough, we will join you guys again. Ben, I gotta let you go, my guy.
We're gonna do this 2 times in 1 week. OMG!
If the news is big enough, Ben, guys,
you know some secrets. Are you keeping a secret over there?
I have no secrets, bro.
Oh, you are a liar.
I've never in my life seen. I've never seen my contacts more secretive than they've been this week in regards to this, bro. It's crazy. Nobody wants to say anything, guys. That's been Askren. I'm Daniel Cormier. Until next time. Catch you on the next episode of Funky and the Champ. We'll see you later. Peace.